Today's an exciting day in the studio because I am now packing orders. I need to do a studio clear out. To be honest, I'm kind of bummed out. It's done. Jeez, what are you doing in there? Get out of here, come on. Don't scare me like that. It's always nice to have you. Just use the door next time. Come on, we got a lot to catch up on. Ever since my last video, a lot has been happening, from releasing my first ever art series, The Joy of Bumblebees, to building frames for an upcoming art show that I did not get into. Instead of soaking in my own tears of misery, I figured I would take you along with me and show you the absolute whirlwind and chaos that was my studio life this past month. And it all begins with a kingfisher. So lately I'm really liking the whole vlogging format of these videos because I just get to take you guys with me and show you what the heck it is that I'm working on, the daily goings on of my studio life, and to just see where the donuts get made. And today I've been putting the finishing touches on a painting that's been haunting me for the past couple weeks. And by haunting, I mean started a long time ago and was too lazy to finish, until one day I was so tired of looking at it pitifully staring back at my face that I decided to place it back on my easel and finish it up. One thing that got me so jazzed about painting this particular piece was this beautiful feathery creature known as the kingfisher, which I later discovered is said to be one of the most beautiful birds in nature. Move over, parrots. Buzz off, flamingos. Damn you, peacocks. The kingfisher is the literal Victoria's Secret model of the animal kingdom, but with more feathers. Funnily enough, many cultures see the kingfisher as a symbol of resilience, with its innate ability to adapt and live in multiple environments, as well as its agility, since they're known to swoop into the water, catch a fish, and then fly away really quickly at great speeds. This bird's a badass. And even though I didn't really know it at the time, I really just thought this bird looked so beautiful that I really just wanted to paint it. But I realize now that perhaps I was painting my own version of courage in facing new challenges, knowing that my efforts will be fruitful, just like the kingfisher. Man, I love when I get deep. After I conquered this painting, I turned my sights onto a new challenge, releasing my Joy of Bumblebees collection. And boy, oh boy, was I surprised at what I discovered. Today's an exciting day in the studio because I am now packing orders for my bumblebee collection. People are adopting my little bumbles, you guys. Beyond thankful and grateful. These little bees that came from my imagination are now making their way over to people's homes. Like, this is absolutely incredible. So thank you to all the collectors. You know who you are. You are magnificent. Thank you. I know I personally love watching people packaging orders and getting it all ready. I find it very therapeutic, and it's just a very beautiful, cohesive part of the whole process. Very joyful, in my opinion. So come along with me and watch me put together some of these orders for original canvas paintings. Now, when it comes to shipping and packing my orders, I do not mess around, people. I get serious. I am wrapping anything that's archival and that I want to last very, very long in glassine paper first, so that nothing comes in contact with the packing material itself. Then I take some foam, cut it to size so that it kind of makes a nice little cookie sandwich with my artwork in between the two loaves of foam to make sure that all the edges and sides do not get banged up in transit. From there, open up my big ol' bubble wrap, and this is so much fun because I freaking love bubble wrap. Give it 2 to 3 extra layers of bubble wrap to ensure extra safety and precaution so that this package gets safely to my collector. And then the best and worst part of all this was actually making the custom box, so I didn't have to go out and buy a new box and pay a butt ton of money to do that. So I instead made my own box, which fits exactly to the dimensions that I need. And of course, a bajillion yards of duct tape to hold everything in place never hurts as well. Again, thank you to all my wonderful collectors for taking my bumbles and bringing them to a new loving home. I appreciate you. You're awesome. Just dropped off painting number 1, time to drop off painting number 2. Package number 2 dropped off. Now, after a day of packing all my orders and turning my studio into a literal junkyard. I needed to give it a little TLC and clean it up. Guys, I actually love cleaning my studio. There's just something so satisfying about picking up big pieces of cardboard, peel off all the paint in one fell swoop off of my glass palette, except when it doesn't, then it sucks. I have this one piece that I had been messing around with on the previous video, and I just still did not know what to do with it. I decided to just go ahead and make a mess again. Yes, after cleaning up my studio, I went ahead and made a big old mess using some inks and throwing some slop around and just see what happens. So this is a PSA to anyone watching. I will be doing more ink work in the future because it is beautiful, it is mesmerizing, and it's also just very deeply satisfying. It's literal magic. Although sometimes the inks do like to get together and make a ogre mud swamp, it is not pleasurable to the eyeballs. It was my civic duty to get rid of said swamp water using my trusty paper towel, and oh look, it made a whole new pattern that I wasn't expecting. Glad it all worked out. We've come to the art gallery show prep portion of this video. The deadline to submit to the art gallery is in just a few days, so I knew I needed to get my button gear to make all the paintings I wanted to submit ready to go. Hello! I'm prepping for a show that's happening at my local art gallery, and I gotta get ready for submission. So I'm just kind of picking out a few of my paintings that I've done in the past. I need to do a studio clear out. I have way too much stuff, and I need to make some space so I can make some more art and do some more awesome things. I think I'm gonna submit this one here, this one, and this one here. I submitted it for another show. It did not get accepted. I think it's really cool, and I want to submit it one more time. This one is also a really cool piece from another study I was doing. I'm going to go ahead and actually make a frame for this one today. To avoid any confusion, I was not planning to submit the teacup piece to the art show. I was going to gift that to my dad for his birthday. I needed to make a frame for that too. Let's head over to the garage. That's attractive. While I was putting together the frame, I forgot to film it. Now, since I used up all the spare wood to make that one frame in my garage, I needed to go out and get more. So I headed over to the depot of home, grabbed more wood while trying to film myself around other people trying to also get wood. That was really a fun experience. And went back to my garage to make more frames. Now, what I typically like to make for any art that I submit to a gallery is a floating frame. It's a simple frame that makes your painting look like it's actually floating and not held together by the frame. It's a really cool effect. Now it's time for assembly. Boom, bam, bang, bam. I've scoured many a YouTube tutorial to figure out how to do this effectively, and I think I've actually come down to a science on how to make this and make it look pretty good and do it pretty quickly. This time around, I've discovered that using a miter box and a handsaw actually gets me better miter cuts. So I ended up getting better frames and burned more calories at the same time. She's done! After assembling everything and after the glue dried, I went ahead and stained 2 of the frames and painted another frame mostly white because it just paired better with the painting it was supposed to go with. So I just finished sending an email out to my collectors because my bumblebee collection is going away tomorrow. I just have a few things left to get ready for my gallery show and get my dad's present all set up and ready to go. Then I went through the painstaking process of painting the inside of each frame black to make the back part of the frame recess and make the floating part of the floating frame float. Yeah. Turns out I actually didn't need to finish the white frame at all because the painting that was supposed to go in the frame sold that night. This was a great problem to have. I was very happy, and that was just one less frame that I needed to put attention to. Now it's time for arguably one of my favorite portions of framing a painting, and that is wire hanging. I added braided picture wire designed to hold up to 30 pounds and D-rings to the backs of all the frames so that the frame can actually sit flush up against the wall and not scratch the crap out of the wall either. Genius. And finally, drum roll please, it is time to add the painting into the frame. And I like to use playing cards, not to satisfy my painting's gambling itch, but to make it positioned evenly on all sides of the frame. This was a trick that I learned from yet another YouTube video, and I thought it was absolutely genius. After a little positioning and a little screwing, all 4 paintings were officially ready to make their grand entrance to the art show. Well, at least they were submitted to the show. I packed up each of the 4 paintings carefully into my Nissan Rogue, drove all the way to the art gallery, 2 trips to take all the paintings from the car into the gallery, paid my fees, and drove home hoping that at least one of these paintings will make it into the show. Turns out none of them did. I'm not bitter. To be honest, I'm kind of bummed out because I thought I had a clear understanding of what the art show was for and what I needed to do to get it ready, but at the end of the day, my art is not for everyone, and that's okay. I just finished my Joy Bumblebee collection and I sold out all of my originals. Seeing that and not getting into a gallery at the same time, it kind of gave me a little bit of a readjustment into my expectations on my art and whether it has value or not. Based on one judge's thoughts on what my painting is, it doesn't make or break the value of my paintings. It kind of calls back to my thoughts on resilience, going back to the kingfisher bird from the first painting and how they are resilient. They bounce back from adversity, from challenges. I'm seeing this denial into the art show as an example of resilience. This is not a sign for me to pack up my art supplies and take all of my canvases and burn them into a big bonfire, but it just means that, you know, this is not their time to shine at this particular place. It's just not the right fit for that. I'm going to bounce back. I'm going to look at this as a lesson, not to the value of what my paintings are, or to my value inherently as an artist or as a person, but just as it's not the right time. That in some way makes me feel a little bit better about the whole outcome, but that's okay. With the year coming to a close and looking at the state of my art studio, there are a lot of paintings that I did as homework assignments for the art school that I'm currently in. They're taking up a lot of space and I have to let them go. I'm going to be having a studio clearance sale coming up very soon. I'm hoping in the next few weeks I'll be able to have it pushed out and ready to go. And if you want to have first dibs, the first minute that my studio clear out event is happening, be sure to join my mailing list. I'll have the link in the description below so you can go ahead and check it out. I want to leave this question for you. What are some examples of how you can be resilient? Do you take it as an opportunity to see a more positive outcome to the situation that you are presented? Comment below. Let me know. I always love to hear from you. I'm actually really loving this microphone action. I feel more at ease with it, just having something in my hand and close to my mouth every time I talk. Okay, I'm going to stop talking about that. Love you all. Talk to you next time. Bye.